It's time for another practice SAT math question in which we're given a word problem that we need to interpret into an algebraic equation. So we are told that a taxi ride cost $3.50 for the flag drop plus $2.25 per mile. If the total fare was $20.75, which equation represents this? So again, really important, we have to understand what's being told to us, and really just a really good strategy here is to simply try and write down which variables we have, right? So when we look at this one, we know we have a fixed cost or a fixed fee of $3.50. So we could just say our fixed cost is $3.50. We also know that the cost for all miles traveled, which we could call this, we could just put miles traveled, so MT or something to help us remember that, is going to be 225 times the number of miles. So that would be, we could call that 225 times M, or just 2.25 M. And so the total cost is going to be equal to our fixed cost plus the cost per mile times number of miles, or the miles traveled cost. So FC plus MT, which means that the equation that represents this is ultimately going to be, we know that our total cost is $20.75. We could say that 3.5 plus 2.25 M is equal to 20.75, or an answer choice of B. Okay, it's time for another practice SAT math problem in which we are given a word problem that we need to interpret into an algebraic equation. We're given the situation that says a caterer charges $100 for travel plus $18 per guest. For a party of 15 guests, the total was $370. So we want to know which equation represents this. Again, we always want to write down what our variables are, interpreting what's being told to us. So again, we know that no matter what, we're going to have a fixed cost of $100. Our variable cost is going to be $18 per guest, so that's 18G. Our total cost is going to be our fixed cost plus our variable cost, and we already know what our total cost is. It is $370. So the equation that would represent this is actually A, 18G plus 100 equals 370. It's time for more practice SAT math questions that we need to interpret word problems into algebraic equations. And again, we are asked which equation represents the situation to the following. It tells us that a phone plan has a base fee of $50 and charges $10 for each gigabyte of data used. If Leo paid $120, how many gigabytes did he use? So again, simply just need to interpret these types of problems. We're trying to figure out the equation, not the actual answer. So again, some things that we might want to write down could be things such as our base fee, for example. So we can call that, let's just say BF is equal to $50, and the price per gigabyte, so we could just say GB, price per gigabyte, is 10 times G, and we know that our total, so we can call that T, is 120. So when we use this information, we know we can now say that 10G plus 50 equals 120. So again, that would give us an answer choice of A. Again, for B and C, our variables and constants are flipped here, so that makes those incorrect. And then for D, we're subtracting the base fee, but this doesn't reflect how the pricing actually works, so that would make that one incorrect as well. So that's why A, 10G plus 50 equals 120 is the correct answer. Okay, let's look at another practice SAT math question in which we are given a word problem and we have to interpret it into an algebraic equation. Again, we are asked which equation represents this situation. So we're told that Sam paid $150 to enroll in a course. The course includes a $30 registration fee and C weekly classes that each cost $20. So again, we want to know what's the equation that represents this. So again, one of the best things to do for questions like this is just interpret it, write down our variables, and figure out what's happening here. So we know that for one, we have a one-time registration fee, so we can just call that, we can just put reg or whatever can help us, but registration fee of, let's say, $30. We know that the cost per class, so let's just say PC cost $20 times C. And then we know that the total, we'll just call that T, is equal to $150. So that would tell us that, given this information, we could say that 20C plus 30 is equal to 150, which will give us an answer choice of A. So B and C flip the per unit and fixed cost, so that makes them incorrect. And then D is reversed and subtracting incorrectly. So that's why, again, A represents this situation. It's time to jump into another practice SAT math question. Again, we're looking at a word problem where we have to interpret it into an algebraic equation. So this one is asking us which equation represents this situation. And we're told that Eli bought 3 concert tickets for $10 each and paid a $12 service fee. He spent a total of $111. Again, we're trying to focus on finding the equation, not the actual amount that is spent necessarily. So some things we want to keep in mind are some of our variables. So again, we want to think about, for example, our total cost, which we could say is TC, and that would be equal to tickets plus the service fee. So let's just say T plus service fee. And then we could say tickets, again, are T, and we could say that's equal to 3T. And then we have our fee, which would be equal to $12. And then this would actually end up giving us an equation of 3T plus 12 equals 111, which would give us an answer choice of A. The other ones are incorrect because for B, this would subtract the fee, so this wouldn't make sense. We need to include it. C, if we have 12T, that would imply $12 per ticket, but so not a flat fee. And then D is just an improper form and just incorrect operations here. So again, that's why A represents the equation in this situation.